Today, Bernie Sanders released more details on how he wants to reshape corporate America. Some of this we knew it had been teased out over the past few weeks, but some is new. And so let's turn to his corporate accountability plan. The centerpiece is a proposal to shift power to workers by requiring all large companies, that's those with at least 100 million in annual revenue, and all publicly traded companies to come under partial employee ownership. The idea is to require them to contribute 2% of their stocks annually to an employee-controlled fund until workers control 10% of the company, or sorry, 20% of the company, and then pay out the dividends to those workers. So this would take place, obviously, over a period of 1 decade until eventually 20% is owned by the employees of the actual company. There would be some sort of board set up to help manage that, and the dividends would be paid out to the workers, which obviously makes the company more responsive to its workers, also provides more of a benefit for the workers to innovate and work hard and all of that. Some aspects of this plan have been proposed in other countries. There's one I believe that, I think that the Labour Party, I think in the UK is pushing that would do something like this, but to 10% of the total value. But that would certainly be a big change, and it goes beyond any of the other plans of this sort that we've seen from other candidates in the primary.
Yeah, and I think to some extent it definitely has some positive aspects, especially one I think that Bernie mentioned in terms of people feeling more invested in their workplace, which I think is maybe something he's trying to communicate to employers to say people will be more loyal if they're invested in it and they actually have something to benefit from it other than a piece of paycheck which they take home after taxes. But at the same time too, I just don't know how many companies would be down for this. And as we've already seen Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg go after essentially Elizabeth Warren for feeling like she's a threat to his billionaire status, I could see a number of billionaires and big businessmen coming at Bernie too for this.
Oh yeah. Look, I mean, if Mark Zuckerberg thinks that like Warren's plan would be unacceptable, he's probably hasn't hit the floor since he read about this yet. And so, and by the way, we don't have time to delve into it too much, but some news has come out about Zuckerberg over the past few days. And look, I don't want to get conspiratorial or anything, but this guy has already allowed insane misinformation to just fill his platform during an election. If it was, like if Bernie was the candidate and some misinformation was being spread to take down Bernie, like do you think he would look past his own economic personal interests and say, you know what, we're gonna stomp this out. We're gonna get rid of this misinformation. Like I would be seriously worried that he would go along with it. But anyway, it doesn't just affect him, but it affects a lot. And I think I've already mentioned a few potential benefits of it, and I'll leave it to the experts to do much more than that. But it would also potentially help to stop some corporations from like pursuing paths that are just deeply immoral, like some of the companies that are polluting our waterways, companies like Facebook and others that are willing to sell your information. Like those sorts of things wouldn't necessarily be destroyed by 20% of the company going to its workers, but I trust 20% of the workers far more than I do a few self-interested and often not particularly attentive board members.
This is the hardest part, is implementing, right? How do you pull this off? Living in a country where we're sold the end game of capitalism no matter what. That allows people in this type of positions and heads of these companies to be empowered to do whatever they want for that profit margin. That's what capitalism is. No matter what, make your money. And whoever is affected by that negatively, who cares? So we're gonna have a problem even convincing enough workers to be like, oh, this is a good idea, because there's this wilderness, and we go, oh, but what if we take the power away from the rich and powerful? How will we survive? We have this childlike approach to that the rich people are supposed to give us what we deserve when we've been giving them everything that they don't deserve. So just enough people just to come on board for that to do it. And number two, this goes back to the beginnings of everything when it comes to politics, is the money in it. So unless money's out of politics, the people in charge are gonna continue to give the people that are elected money to do what they want. So yeah, Bernie Sanders can get in office and then implement some policies or propose some things. Congress ain't doing anything about this. Senate isn't passing any of this stuff. It's not gonna happen that way because they're still getting paid by the people who don't want this to happen. A lot of things have to change, and I'm not saying I'm against.
Well, he's also proposed getting effectively all money out of politics.
Yeah, and like there's so many levels have to happen, and he's gonna get attacked for this particular approach and called a socialist trying to take all your money away when actually it's not taken away from all these people. But he's gonna get attacked on that realm, and it'll stick to a degree because people don't really know that there's other levels that have to change for it to get to where that would be effective. It would never happen, and they know that. So they'd be like, yeah, Bernie's trying to take everything from you. I hate to be the negative guy, but it would never happen.
No, I think it's a very difficult thing to pull off, especially for the point that you made in terms of the people really, they've kind of been brainwashed to think that they need the man. They need someone to control them as opposed to having their own free liberties. And so, which is why I think that in part, that's kind of why people really aren't trained to look at facts and find information, as opposed to, you just tell me what to do. You tell me what to decide, how to vote, and I'll just make that happen. And it's an unfortunate cause because so many of us actually invest in being our full 100% owned citizens and to truly want to invest and be a full-fledged member of this society as opposed to kind of just a cog in the wheel.
Donald Trump made some outlandish promises when he was running for office. He's only been able to implement those because of the help from the Senate and before the Congress got switched over, all the help that they're providing. You need help to do this stuff. If he was by himself and he's the only Republican in that branch of government that's holding any kind of power, he's already not getting a lot of things done just because we flipped the Congress and then now hopefully the Senate. But no, you need help. And he's got assistance from a lot of bad people.
But yeah, Trump has also shown what you can do with executive orders as well, almost immediately after he got in. The idea too would be anyone, no matter who, if it was Amy Klobuchar, she would face a very difficult task of getting anything done. That's why it's so important that you get into office with a movement hopefully that will have been the difference in many, possibly in Senate races, but definitely in House races, could be the difference between them winning and losing. They could feel that they owe you because you were the figurehead that brought a wave, that brought them into the power. I think that could be very, very powerful too.
So with that point, I'm sorry, don't forget. With that point, if you're voting for, a lot of people, I'm making an assumption here. I think vote for a president and be like, oh, this is the president because I'm thinking about president. And they go down the rest of the ticket and there's no way they've looked into the policies and approaches the rest of your voting route is taking you. So who are you voting for House and Senate that's gonna support the things you think this president's gonna do? It's not just a president thing. Like, oh, punch president. No, I'll leave the rest blank. I don't know who those people are.
Yeah, it's a big wonder.
It changes things. You have to. There has to be an approach that's it changes government over from the people who are actually making these decisions.
Well, I'm also going to say, I think that the right wing has really shot themselves in the foot in terms of how are they, like, let's say they take this plan and let's say Sean Hannity wants to have a serious critique of it, which isn't going to happen, but what is he going to say about it? He's going to say that's socialism. He says that like Pete Buttigieg's plans are socialism. Like this is just about as pure democratic socialist of a proposal as you could get. It is worker control, not control, but a degree of control over corporations. It's still very much capitalism, but to benefit workers and at the direction of workers. This should be actually something that many at Fox should be interested in. They say that they're in favor of the forgotten masses and they prefer them over the elites, honestly. Well, then put them in control of these corporations, by the way. And you always say that you're worried about government regulations hurting small businesses. The smallest a business can be is $100 million for this to affect them, so you don't have that argument either. So look, they're gonna say that it's socialism, they're gonna say that it's communism, but they would say that raising the minimum wage by 10 cents is those things too.
Yeah.
So really fast, we can't go super in depth, but I want to give you, that was the centerpiece. It's an all-inclusive plan. It involves requiring 45% of large companies' boards to be employee elected. So again, it's not a majority, but it is much more influence over the board. Let's see, you have a Bureau of Corporate Governance for sort of federal charters that'll have ethical corporate requirements, banning stock buybacks, which we've seen used, like we give these huge corporate tax cuts to them. They get a bunch of money, then they buy their taxes back, so it doesn't actually benefit you in any way. Let's see, giving workers the right to buy a company if it goes up for sale, is closing, or moving overseas and providing financial assistance to do that, as well as restoring the corporate tax rate back to 35%, where it was before Trump cut it nearly in half. I would say that should be the starting off point. That should not be the end point, but because Trump became president, we have a lot of work to do just to get back to where we were a couple of years ago.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, Jayar, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.